Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Now today you find us out in the Lincolnshire Wolds on a beautifully bright morning. Birds are singing lovely. Going to do a little bit today about sort of dealing with colder temperatures in the van, because it got below freezing last night. You won't believe it, actually looking at it this morning, it's actually gorgeous out. But how we actually sort of deal with things and sort of what sort of things we sort of added to the van to help us out. Really sort of just to keep the temperatures at bay, and a lot of it to keep the moisture at bay as well. As you can see, here we've got a lot of condensation on the interior screens. Now these are the areas that aren't insulated in the van at all. Now one thing we did add, fairly early on actually, more to combat the heat than anything else, but it's actually the added side effect, is actually put the foil back foam on the back of the bungs that sit in the window at night. That actually provides a bit of an insulation barrier and sort of stops these from steaming up quite so badly. You do get a little bit of condensation on it, but not too bad at all. So that definitely helps, but you can't really do that at the front due to the size of the windows. So what I tend to do is I've actually got a set that I use, which is this, which is a sponge cloth. Now it feels a bit sort of plasticky and sort of funny, but basically it absorbs water at an alarming rate. It's like sort of 5 times the amount of water the normal cloth will bring up, and it's perfect for wiping the windows down. It just gets all the condensation up and you can just wring it out, and works really well. Obviously the problem you've got with condensation in the front is it's difficult to get that section insulated. The doors are difficult to insulate because you've got the moving windows. The roof, yes, you can insulate it, but you don't tend to get too much up there anyway. But the massive glass area is a bit of a problem. Now you can put some covers on the outside, but then you've got wet covers that you need to try and sort out afterwards, so we've never really sort of looked into that side of it. We have got a cover that goes over it for the summer, which does help actually sort of bring the temperature down in the front, because it is like just having a greenhouse in there. So it's something we sort of live with the condensation on the sides and on the main screen. Let's just use this and a microfiber cloth just to dry off afterwards, and it seems to work really well. So if I just give this a quick wipe over, as you can see, within no time at all you've got a clear window. And the other thing that we do tend to do, which is helpful actually having these side pieces, if it's not really blowing a gale or sort of too cold, let's crack the side windows, just get a bit of airflow, and that helps out sort of with keeping the temperature sort of a bit more regulated and keeping the moisture regulated in the front. Now the beauty of it is, if you can get a nice sunny morning like I got this morning, this window is already clear. But what you do find is occasionally just around these edges here you'll get little bits of condensation, because obviously that's the outer part of the door skin where it comes through, so you do have to be a little bit mindful of that. Just give it a quick wipe over. You don't really want any damp sort of building up, because that's where your mould comes from. So using the sponge cloth, it takes a couple of minutes, give the screen a wipe down, it's not too bad at all. Now you do always struggle getting right the way down to the bottom of the screen. It's just the shape of the screen makes it a little bit difficult, but it's not too bad to get to. One thing that would be ideal would be a little window vac that could get right the way down the bottom and actually sort of draw all the moisture out, but I don't think they exist, unfortunately. Not unless you're looking at sort of the big industrial stuff. But that's one way to actually keep the windows clear in the front and sort of deal with the moisture that builds up. Now for the rest of the van, obviously it's well insulated, and we do have the diesel heater as well, which works brilliantly. Last night we were running, if I remember rightly, it was something like 3 degrees outside at about midnight, dropping down to 0 at about 3 in the morning. We got the windows cracked, and at sort of 5 this morning there was a definite sort of chill in the air. It wasn't cold in there. I mean, according to the temperature readout, it was about sort of 14 degrees, so it's not cold, but you could tell there's a bit of a sort of chill in the air. So literally drop the diesel heater on, within 20 minutes that's up to 20 degrees again. It's nice and toasty. You can turn the diesel heater right the way down. Now that sort of works quite well for clearing the front as well, because I've actually got the vent pipe that actually sort of runs into the front of the cab, just to sort of increase the temperature in there. It doesn't completely clear it though, because it needs to be sort of blown straight onto the screen, but sort of thing, it does raise the temperature, it does make it easy to actually clear the screen. So it's something that, you know, if you're not getting any sort of diesel heater in your van, it's well worth considering, especially with the price of them. They're not massively expensive. They have gone up with the current climate, but they're still not massively expensive, and they're an easy install, and generally they seem reliable, and the parts are freely available as well. I mean, I've seen a few people actually use their actual gas hob for heating. You can actually buy a little sort of topper that sits on top that actually heats and radiates out. It's not something I really fancy doing unless you've got a well ventilated area though, because obviously all you're doing there, you're burning the gas inside the room, which burns the oxygen inside the room and sort of increases the chance of carbon monoxide building up. Yes, you can do it, but I wouldn't do it long term. At least with the diesel heater, the fumes stay on the outside and basically it just blows hot air in. So it's a split system, which for me is the ideal system. You do get a little bit of noise from it, but it's not too bad. Like I say, if you actually see my video on changing the seats, you can actually hear it in the background at the start. It's not massively noisy, it's not too intrusive either, but yeah, it's definitely been a great investment. I'm really glad that we got that in. So back here we've got the diesel heater control panel, which I have to press a button there to bring it up to life. There we go. And our vent comes out down there. Now we'll be changing this vent shortly for a flush fit one, but it'll still have the same effect. Basically just have that blowing straight up into the back of the van, and essentially that keeps the back of it all nice and clear. Now, as far as the front goes, down here under the seat is where the diesel heater itself sits and where the vent pokes out, and then basically that just blows up into the cab area. Like I said, it doesn't hit the screen, but it does give you a bit more warmth in there, especially if it's icy. I've actually used it for de-icing the van on an icy morning. Works brilliantly for that. And yeah, another little feature which can help to demist the front screen is this. This is a little USB fan. It just powers off the USB in the van, and I've put a little tripod on it. Just holds onto the fan nicely. We actually use that when we're cooking, so it actually blows the fumes away from sort of hitting the ceiling and sort of stuff like that. So if you crack the door, it just blows straight out. But that, if you face that around, pointing to the screen, that can actually completely demist it for you if it's not too bad as well. Especially if you have the heater running, you've got nice warm air, blows it all the way over and keeps it nice and clear for you. So there we go, that's how we keep warm and sort of try and combat the condensation as much as we can. Looks like you're never going to get rid of every single last bit of condensation in the cab. I mean, we've got the curtain that pulls across as well, so you get a little bit of a buffer between the front and the back, but unless you've got it completely sealed front to back, you're always going to get a bit around the front because you've got that massive glass area and there's not really anything you can do about it. But it gives you a couple of ideas on what we do. A lot of it as well is sort of managing the moisture content that you've got. So if you've got stuff that's absolutely soaking wet, keep it out the back and sort of keep it more forward. It will stop the moisture from sort of staying in the back as well. It's the sort of thing that you can't keep a van perfectly dry. It's completely the nature of it. But the more you can do, the easier it gets and the easier it is to manage as well. But if you enjoyed this one, please do give us a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Like I said, I'm doing sort of one every other week at the moment with the videos, doing bits and bobs out and about. I mean, if there's anything you want to know, or whether you sort of enjoy sort of information about the park up areas and stuff like that, yeah, drop us a comment down below. Love to hear from you. But for now, take care. We'll see you again on the next one.